Hey, it's Abner here. I wanted to show you how easy it is to fill out one of our beef cut sheets. You should be able to find our blank beef cut sheets on our website. I'll try to put a link for that in the description box of this video as well. So the first thing you want to do is put your name down here, your address. Make sure you put a phone number down here that we can text you on, because we prefer to let you know when it's done by texting if possible. And then you can put a backup phone number here so we can reach you out in case we can't reach you on the other number. The easiest way to do this is if you would do the standard cuts, if you're not sure what you want, and let's say you're doing a whole beef, for instance, you could do the standard cuts. And then what that will get you, if you choose the standard cuts, is that gets you the chuck roast, and our default size is 3 pounds. It gets you the sirloin tip roast, and it gets you the rump roast. It would also get you the brisket cut in half. You also get, with the standard cuts, you get the short ribs cut into 4 by 6 inch sections. You get your boneless ribeye at 3/4 inch. And you get your bone-in sirloin steak at 3/4 inch, as well as bone-in T-bone at 3/4 inch. All the other things like round steak, cube steak, flank steak, skirt steak are ground into your burger, and the default value for the ground burger is 80-20 fat ratio. We typically put everything in the 1 pound chubs, and so that's included in your standard cuts. The standard cuts do not include the heart, the liver, the tongue, or the oxtail. But if you go this route, it makes it easy. If you go with if you're doing a half a beef this way, saves you $10. If you do the whole beef, saves you $20. Next, I'm going to go over some of the options that you can get if you opt not to do the standard cuts and then choose your own cuts. So a lot of times people go with chuck roast, for instance, still. If people want all the roast they can get, they typically include the arm roast in that. It has a bigger bone, a little bit more bigger chunks of fat in there, but if you're the type of person that wants all the roast you can get, the arm roast is a great way to get a few more roasts out of the deal. So you have the arm roast option, the chuck roast option, the rump roast, the sirloin tip. These two are boneless roast, and these two are bone-in roast. And then if you want soup bones, you can get soup bones. Those that do have extra cost there. Soup bones are cut short, 1.5 inches or so, and you can specify how many you want. If you want your brisket, you can get it cut in half, or you can get it done whole. Now the thing about a whole brisket is that it's so big normally that we don't have a way to vacuum pack it, so keep that in mind. It may not be able to be vacuum sealed, but if you're fine with that, you can opt for it to be whole. But we do recommend, so we can vacuum seal it, to go ahead and get it cut in half if you do want your brisket. Also, if you want your short ribs, you can choose to get those into 4 by 6 sections, or if you don't want them, you can just grind them. Have them ground in the burger. On the steak section here, a very common thing is the boneless ribeye. And of course, you can choose what thickness you want. Our default value is 3/4 inch, but let's say you want them, 1.5 inches, you can do that. And typically we put 2 steaks per pack there. So it's up to you. If you want to go the bone-in rib steak, it's the same cut of meat as the ribeye, but it has the bone left in it, and so it's called a rib steak. So you can go boneless ribeye, or you can go bone-in rib steak. And then on the sirloin steak, you can go with bone-in sirloin, or if you go boneless, it becomes boneless top sirloin, and when you take the bone out, you get a few fillets out of the deal. Typically we put 4 filet mignon pieces per pack, and typically 2 sirloins per pack. On the T-bones, you can get it done as T-bone, or you can get it done as a New York strip. When you go with New York strip, it'll be a little bit smaller, but the piece that we take off will be the bone, as well as you can get the filet mignon that way. Again, we typically do 4 per pack on the fillets and 2 per pack on the regular steak. So moving down to the other steak options, on the hindquarters, you can get the round steak, which is, depending on the size of your beef, obviously, can be different sizes, but a big old steak can typically cut 3/4 on those. They tend to be a little leaner and therefore not as tender as like your other ribeyes and such would be. But some people like those. If you want them tenderized, then they're called cube steak, and we cut them down to smaller sections and tenderize them, and so you can get those. We typically do 6 per pack on those, and really the only option we do on those is 3/4 inch, because by the time they run through the tenderizer, they're actually squished down a little bit, so there's really no point in going thicker because they actually don't fit through the tenderizer as well anyways, and then they'll usually squish down to about 1/2 inch, so it's kind of a happy medium. It is what it is, and typically we slice them at 3/4 there. And if you want flank steak, there's 2 flank steaks per beef, or 1 flank steak per half. So you can opt to save those or grind them. Same as the skirt steak. It's kind of a piece of meat that's typically used for fajitas. So you can either save that or you can grind it, whatever you prefer. In this case, I'm going to select to save them. Again, whatever's left after we do all your other cuts will grind into your burger. You can get it done as 80-20. What we recommend is a very good burger mix. And typically, we don't need to add fat unless you have a very lean beef that you bring in. You want us to add fat, you can tell us to add fat if needed. But typically, that would not be necessary, so no added fat needed. So, and also, there are people who think they're saving us time by asking to do it in 2-pound chubs. We really prefer to do it in 1-pound chubs. We're set up for that, so if at all possible, we like to do them 1-pound chubs there on the burger. If you want some as patties, there's a 30-pound minimum. We can do pre-formed patties for you. 30-pound minimum. It's $1 a pound to get that done at this point as of May 2025. If you want us to save the liver for you, you can specify that. We'll slice it for you. If you want the heart, we can save the heart for you. If you want the tongue, we can save the tongue for you, as well as the oxtail. And usually if you want soup bones, it kind of takes the place of these over here bone broth bones. If you want some bones for bone broth, we kind of do one or the other. And so you can get bone broth. Those are bones for bone broth. Those are about 50 cents a pound to get those cut up at this point in time. And then you can choose if you want 25 pounds or 50 pounds, depending what you're getting, or maybe just 10 pounds. So it's totally up to you. You just fill that out as you see best there. Once you have it in, just send that in with your beef. If you're coming yourself, bring that in and we'll go over it with you and enter it into our system so that hopefully next time you're here, we'll be able to look it up and just copy the order. So hopefully that helps you to know how to fill out one of our cut sheets whenever you're going to be dropping off a beef.